This is Shabbos Daf Nun. The Gemara was talking about this pasuk, Osa Achas Mehena, trying to teach us out that if you have one lapse in forgetfulness, then it's one chatos, no matter how many malachos is done, how many Shabbosim, and if it's not one lapse, if it's many Shabbosim with many malachos, depending on whether it's the same type of malacha, whether it's different malachos, will it be one chatos or other chatos. Now the Gemara is going to say, how do we know that pasuk is even talking about Shabbos? Maybe the pasuk is talking about something else. Maybe the pasuk is talking about Avodah Zarah. You don't know that it's Shabbos. Tani Rab Zakai Kum Rab Yechanan. Rab Zakai taught the Bryce Rab Yechanan. Zibach Kiter Nisech Behelam Achas. If one slaughtered and burned and poured a libation and one lapse awareness, Chayiv Kol Achas V'Achas. He's Chayiv for every single one of them. So Amar Le Rabbi Yechanan. So Rabbi Yechanan said to Zakai, Bavilaya, Babylonian, Avarta Bidach Tlosa Naharin. You had to travel 3 rivers to get here. The Starvta, and you were broken, and therefore you forgot your halacha. In a chayiv halachas, only chayiv one achas in one chatos. Ad la. Yizbraini Midei. So before Rabbi Zakai's mistake was pointed out to him, so Yesh Kan Achas. When it said Achas, that's fine. It could be Achas. But Ein Kan Hena, you can't have Hena. Because if you did not intend to do it to an Avodah Zarah, you intend to do it to Hashem, so there is no Hena over here. Because then, obviously, the intention which was part of it, that intention was fine. So you can't have a mistaken intention and still do Avodah Zarah. You could do one or more Avodah Zarah, but if you have intention not to Avodah Zarah, intention to worship Hashem, so then it's not Avodah Zarah then. With Shabbos, you can have a Shoygeg and do it on Shabbos. You don't intend to violate Shabbos. The bottom line is, the Malach is making you violate Shabbos. Avodah Zarah, since intention is part of it, your intention is to do it to Hashem and not to Avodah Zarah, how do you have Hena? Min destavre bidei. So Rabbi Zakai's mistake was pointed out to him. So yesh kan hena. He says there could be hena. Ein kan achas. You can't have achas because once you do one of them or two of them, then they pile up. The heichan avodah zarah. But how do we know that it's avodah zarah altogether? Right? Is it possible to be an avodah zarah? So ba'avodah two avodah zarah avodah hakavoya. So we could say that the service to the Most High b'shtachava into b'shashration. So there's 3 parts of avodah zarah anyway. There's one, you're doing it to the idol, you're doing it to the service of Most High, and you're prostrating. So ba'avodah, when you're regarding the service of avodah zarah, l'chayv kol achas, you're chayv in every single one of them. Be'avodah sakavoya, when you're regarding it to the Most High, so l'chayv kol kulon achas, on every single one of them, you're only chayv one. When you're prostrating, when you're bowing down, so you're also chayiv on a partial one. So Rabban Rav Chia b'shem Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. So then he says, "Siv ima koyin hamashiach yechta lo'ashmas ha'am ve'hevi yesapar." If the koyin will sin and he bring guilt upon the people for the sin that is committed, he shall offer a young bull, unblemished, right, without a mum, to Hashem as a chatas sin offering. He shall bring the bull. The main thing is you bring a bull. So mitzvah is Mashiach may v'alehem par. So the commandment over here, it's whenever the kohen could bring a par, a bull. So yatsa sa avodah zara, exclusia avodah zara. She'ini may v'ale par. You don't bring a par. Elas yer b'vad. You bring a female goat. Since you bring a female goat, not a bull, therefore the pasuk can't be talking about avodah zara. Avodah zara is only talking about averis that you'll bring a bull. Hey Sivan, so they challenged maybe this is by fats, eating unkosher fats and doing gilei arayis. Hare Mashiach maybe alehem par, from which the anointed kohen he brings a par for that. So lai sinan misnei ella devarim yesh b'hem tolos. No, really, because it's talking about also achas mehena. So we learn out from that drasha that part of it is doing avos and toldos, but there are no toldos by chalavim because love no toldos, chalavim don't have toldos, and arayis don't have toldos either because also behem as amaris kigomer. A person does a partial or a tiny bit of gili arayis, that's considered like he finished. So therefore, the same thing. And he completed it, so therefore the same thing is that there are no toldos by gili arayis or by fats. So therefore it must be by Shabbos. Now that we learned out about multiple Shabbos, if you got being Shabbos, now we're talking about people who don't know how to calculate Shabbos. And then what should you do if you don't know how to calculate Shabbos? And we're going to bring an interesting thing regarding going on vacation at the end. So Chavraya Amrinan. So the scholars say Shabbos Yil Hashem. Shabbos is for Hashem. L'chayev Kol Shabbos Shabbos, which means you're obligated on every single Shabbos. Amar Ravila. Ravila says Ksiv Kol Ha'is Boy Malacha Yumas. Anyone who does Malacha should die. Lo Ya'asa Boy B'Chaveri. Not one that performed on the counterpart of Shabbos. In other words, each Shabbos is by itself, so they both learn the same thing. Each Shabbos is by itself; they don't connect. And every Shabbos you do one, you get a chatas for each Shabbos. At Amar Ein Hashabbos and Starvos. Now you're saying the Shabbos don't combine, but Cholkin instead they divide. Amar Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yossi says, "Kishem she'ena misarfos." Just as multiple Shabbos are not combined, kach ein cholkos. So too they don't divide between malachas either. So therefore, whatever's done on each Shabbos is done separately. So, for instance, you complete a malacha performed on alternative Shabbos. You start on one, and on other Shabbos, you're not going to combine. They don't separate to make sure that it's not a single malacha. And that's also why, so Rabbi Yossi would say, because of that, so therefore he rejects that it says the second pasuk. He's talking about the Shabbos Yil Hashem. Shabbos Yil Hashem is where you learn out from, and not the second pasuk. Gadol Shenishba Ben Agayim, an adult who was captured among non-Jews, Rav Shmuel. Chad Amar, one says, Moina Shisha V'Aisha Shabbos. One says he counts 6 days, then he keeps Shabbos. The Charna Amar, Aisha Shabbos, Moina Shisha. The other one says, you do Shabbos, you keep Shabbos, and then you count 6 days, and that is how you can observe Shabbos. When you don't know the calendar, when you capture, you don't know the calendar. That's what you do. So obviously it's relevant in certain places, like when people were in concentration camps and prisons and things of that nature. Rav Yitzchak Bar Elazar B'Shem Rav Nachman Bar Yaakov. I'm not saying that they have to have kept Shabbos. I'm just saying people in the situations where they forget calendar days, they don't know where the calendar is. You start and you either count 6 days and then you do Shabbos, or you say that day Shabbos and you count 6 days. Now there's another opinion. So Moina Shisha versus Shabbos. You do 6 and then do Shabbos. Chamisha versus Shabbos, and you count 5 and do Shabbos. Arba versus Shabbos, 4 and then Shabbos. Shloisha Shabbos, 3 then Shabbos. Shnai versus Shabbos, 2 then Shabbos. Decha versus Shabbos and 1 Shabbos. So Amar Ramana says, if you do that, he captured on Tuesday, whoever B'Shavasa, he's going to miss every Shabbos. Based on that calculation, if you do it on Tuesday, he'll never keep a Shabbos. Rav Havachalia, he says, it has an advantage. Let's trade Mavzirin. You do it twice. You do 6 days Shabbos, 5 days Shabbos, 4 days Shabbos, 3 days Shabbos, 2 days Shabbos. Then again, 6 days Shabbos, 5 days Shabbos, 4 days Shabbos, 3 days Shabbos, 2 days Shabbos. Then eventually, who of a Shabusa? Then he's going to eventually do a Shabbos. Ve'ein la l'smaya. But it is not to be wondered how a person could do work. V'yachash l'chal hayamim. So he should be concerned that every single day that he counts that it might be Shabbos. So what's the problem? So then how do you deal with that? Because you're right. Now you're doing one where you turn Shabbos. Bottom line is, you still might be doing, if you count these either Shabbos and then 6 days or 6 days in Shabbos, you might be wrong. You might constantly be doing Malacha on Shabbos. You might be doing Shabbos on a weekday. So how does that help? So next daf is going to answer that. The point about vacation is that the question is, like islands in the Pacific who are not sure about the timeline. So the machlokes is where the timeline, international timeline is, whether or not it's halachic timeline applies to the international timeline. So when you go to Japan, it's fine. So then you're in the east. However, if you go anywhere west of that, in Hawaii, in Fiji, in any of those islands over there, even the islands of Alaska, there are a whole bunch of islands that come off of Alaska that go out to the Pacific. So if any of those islands, any of those places, or even possibly even in the Solomon Islands, the islands that are off Japan, even those islands that are between Japan and Australia, so even those islands, Guadalcanal, etc., those islands, the question is, when do they keep Shabbos based on timeline? So therefore, if you establish a community over there, so they can establish when Shabbos is. However, if you don't establish a community, then a lot of the places can say that you have to keep Friday, you keep only deraisis. You don't do deraisis on Friday, but you can do midrabanans. And on Shabbos, you don't do both. However, there is one way that might be, according to this Gemara, to save yourself from this, and that is fly on Sunday. If you fly on Sunday and get there on Sunday, because you're going west, so you're actually going to get there, you're going to gain hours. When you fly from America, at least. If you fly from Israel, you're going east, you're going to lose a lot of time. But if you're coming from America, you fly out, you keep going west, eventually till you hit those islands, so then you're actually gaining time. So in that situation, if you fly the same day and you land the same day, let's say it's Sunday, then what you could do is you could be soymech on this Gemara. You could be soymech on, I don't know what day it is. So therefore, I will count Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, boom, and keep Shabbos. You can be soymech on the one that says you count 6 days and then you keep Shabbos. You can't obviously be soymech on the one that says Shabbos, then 6 days, because you can't fly on Shabbos, nor could you land on Shabbos, or you're not supposed to be landing on Shabbos. So therefore, that might be an issue. But if you fly in on Sunday and land on Sunday in Hawaii, in Fiji, in Guadalcanal, these islands are not really sure of when Shabbos is. Fly in on Sunday, land on Sunday, be soymech on the Mandarma says count 6 days: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Then you keep Shabbos. Obviously, I'm not going to pass him. This is just an idea. This is a theory in halacha. We're going to go on with the next Gemara and see if that will change.